Hello, everyone, and welcome to this version of the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans. This is the final hour of the 1400 GMT time slot. This is the extra race that we had to put on here due to a couple of issues at the start on Saturday. And it's going to be myself, Connery Manic, and of course Tobias Brockman taking you through the final hour of the top split of this particular time slot. So the previous broadcast, well, they have just got themselves the checkered flag out on circuit, but it's another about 56 minutes before we get the checkered flag here in this particular server. Tobias, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty fine. I kind of missed you yesterday for the pre-show though, so yeah, what was that all about?
Yeah, I was doing something called PESC.
Yeah, I mean, we had amazing racing all day and night, of course, not only in the time slot that just about finished, but of course in this one. But Connery, I think not everyone made it to this last hour here in this race.
Yeah, we have 33 cars still running in this particular race. So the attrition rate's just been a little bit worse in this one compared to the other time slot, but you know, that's kind of to be expected at this point. Yes, 5TIG in our YouTube chat. This is the final hour of the 1400 GMT time slot. There was two different time slots on Saturday in the afternoon, and this is going to be the second of those two. So we'll just have to take you through this one. And, well, if you want to see how things are in the standings right now, though, we've got the LMP1 leader up on screen for you now. That is the Dream Factory car that's currently piloted by Diego Catalan. And they lead by about 48 seconds over BRL in the number 16 LMP1 machine. So Dream Factory going along well, but to have this gap still within a minute at the end of 23 hours, Tobias, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely is. I mean, you have the other cars one lap or even multiple laps behind. And now BRL Williams BIM with Dominic Hoffmann coming closer, 47 seconds. Not sure if there is a great chance, depending on how their pit schedules are and how traffic will be. As we can see, traffic is still an issue after 23 hours and 6 minutes. But as you know, everything can happen in these endurance races, especially in these last 45 minutes. 54.
Wow, you got a little bit ahead of yourself there, didn't you, Toby? But
yeah, 15 minutes to be precise, yeah.
54 minutes left to go here in this one. And actually, we'll just take you through the rundown of the entire order. That would be a pretty good thing to do because these guys haven't really got any coverage over the past 23 hours. So there is your top 8 in the fastest class, your LMP1s. That's Dream Factory. And then BRL Williams BIM, and in second place there. That's a bit of a meme there. But DRS Wave Italy in third place. Fiercely Forward in fourth in LMP1. SRB Team LMP1. Positive Sim Racing P1. Alpine Eagle Racing and Power Slide Motorsports will round out the top 8 there. As TC Corsa Esports W, TC Corsa Esports R. I'll bring things down to P10, and we got Fixed Green and TC Corsa Esports G, bringing things down to P12 in the LMP1 class. And Tobias, just take us through P2.
Yeah, in the LMP2 class, there we have HM Engineering on the top position at the moment, with a big 2-minute gap to S2V Esports number 18, followed by Gazix Racing on third position. TNT Racing Gold on position 4, the Ringifiziert Sim Racing HPD Team Blue is on the 5th position, actually. Shout out to Patrick Jacinski over there, because they are racing this one. Four Brothers Endurance is then on 6th position, Leo Racing Team HPD 78 on 7th, and Black Adder Motorsport 69, like that number, on 8th place, but already 8 laps down. But since I don't have the lifetime yet, you got the information about P10 and forwards.
It's Hutu Alfala Racing in P9 in LMP2, and it's actually Jarrett Liebert behind the wheel of that car. So neither Gregor Hutu nor Ray Alfala is actually in that car right now. We have in P10 Radicals Online Track Racer with Paul Ilbrink behind the wheel, and Power Extreme Racing in P11. So those are your 11 running LMP2 cars. And we can have a look at GTEs. And we can get them up onto the boards. There's Bila Racing Team Euronics in the first place at the moment, a lap ahead of Q3 Zenith Esports. So they have a massive buffer to be able to get clear until the end of this race now. And Rincon VR Racer GT in P3, Racecraft Esports in P4, Zenith in P5, and then Bila Racing Team Euronics, the 3 machine, is in the 6th place. It's actually the number 453 in Sim, but it's a 3 Bila car. GTN Racing in P7, and you got Junkos Racing Official White in P8, and then the last of your runners in GTEs that are still going, Huber Racing Esports Yellow and PSL Not Karting. We'll round out the 10 cars that are left in GTEs. But we've had a lot of retirements in this particular split because I'm seeing these guys on my timing screens right now. We had DRS Wave Italy LMP1 number 2 go out of the race. Core Sim Racing's out. Rebellion Williams Esports is out. That was actually after the first couple of laps there, and a lot of cars further down the order that did not get themselves a bunch of luck, shall we say, in the middle portions of the race. S2V Esports, there's the Altus Esports car, AAA Esports as well, and those guys, well, we're hoping to be in that broadcaster split, of course, but due to the technical issues, they could not. But there we go. Sometimes in life those things happen. We've got 50 minutes to go in this one, though, Tobias.
Yeah, I wondered how the GTE field or the HPD or the LMP1 field would have looked like in the top split if we had only one race and everyone actually made it to the race. But of course, you know, you never can expect so many people to hit the service at the same time. But luckily, iRacing actually offered them a new slot to race on, because there were some frustrated people on social media around. But it's like this, they can get some racing and with us some coverage, of course. And Bila Racing Team, I wonder if they will have more cars in the first split, because they had one car which was a little bit unfortunate during the nighttime hours in the first slot. I wonder if they could get all 3 in there.
Yep, I wonder as well. And since the first race, well, the first race is using a different timing link to what we had in the opening portions of the other time slot, 24 Hours of Le Mans. So our live timing is actually on the main one. So racespot.tv/24 for the live timing of this split. It was timing 2 for the other split, or the other time slot. So yeah, it's been a bit chaotic sometimes here behind the scenes at Racesport TV, getting all those swapped over, and of course trying to get things swapped over between producers in the middle of the night as well.
That's an
no
understatement.
one's idea of fun. It's no one's idea of fun, let me tell you that.
Yeah, especially if stuff comes up in the middle of the night. But that's, I think, the spirit also of a 24-hour race. Sleeping in your car or not sleeping at all, and then trying to set stuff up. Then all the technical issues that arrive that are not your fault, which is even worse. Because if it was your fault, you could you could undo them. But since there was stuff going on that was not in our power to do, it was a bit, let's say it, hectical this morning.
Yeah, it was a little bit hectic, and not just this morning, it was in the night as well, but because my internet decided it did not want to work anymore, and that caused a little bit of a panic. But it looks like we're going to be clean sailing for the final portions. Of course, the other time slot are in their post-race show at the moment, so there's not much that can go wrong there. And of course, we got 48 minutes left of this one. And something I actually did during my particular stint of the other broadcast was this. We can actually get some commentator cameras up on screen. There we go. So, hi, I'm Connery Maddock. That's Tobias Brockman. And, this is something we've been experimenting with here at Racesport TV, getting more of these live feeds in. Of course, it's not just for us as commentators. We can get driver feeds in if they provide them to us as well. So it's always an evolving product.
I mean, yeah, we're getting there at one point. I mean, at least we got new tools to play with. Everyone got camera anyways these days. And, I mean, I like it. Driver cams are very nice to have. They're very cool to have, especially showing them what struggles they're going through sometimes, especially at night. Like Andrej Rajkovic, who has this moving rig, who's shaken like he would be driving in real life.
Yep, and I've tried the motion rigs at Sim Expo, and it is a completely different feeling. It just throws you off, because if you're so used to a static rig, then it just is a completely new sensation that you're just having to deal with, and it takes some time to get back up to speed, at least to where you were on those sorts of rigs compared to a static rig. So I can definitely feel his potential frustration behind the wheel there, but. I think a motion rig for me is a little bit too far off right now. I'm still a student.
Yeah, I mean, but you got great possibilities. I mean, they have these centers everywhere. At least in Germany, you have like these sim race stuff, and you can get there, and I don't know, for cheap money you can just try it out. But imagine this motion rig and VR, and this is how he's racing it. I mean, he's having no overlays whatsoever from the sim visible on his VR goggles. So he's racing it like it's real life.
Yeah, I will say I've never tried the combination of VR and motion rig. You would have thought that you had to get the latency so perfect, like you don't get too motion sick.
I mean, it's great. I tried it. He's in Austria. I tried it, his setup, and it's great. I just also Jimmy Broadman. He was driving it as well, I think, in 2019.
That must be crazy. And of course, the technology is always getting better as well. VR technology, the motion rig technology as well, is always improving. And there might come a point where it's just incredibly realistic. Of course, you still have some limitations with VR headsets at times, and sometimes the tracking can be a little bit off and somewhat, and sometimes the refresh rate isn't quite high enough for completely lifelike viewing, but it's starting to get there, and it's going to be interesting to see how that actually affects sim racing.
So the question is, what is the frame rate of real life then?
Well, as high as possible. Let's just say that. So to try and emulate it anyway, because obviously a lot of professional esports players they prefer to play, especially FPS games, on 144 hertz, whereas
Or
most
even higher.
yeah, or higher. I mean, there's 240 hertz monitors out now, isn't there? But most VR headsets are only on 90 at the moment. But
Yeah, I think somewhere between 90 and 120, but I think it's also because it's like having two 4K monitors almost, or at least two 2K monitors strapped right into your face next to your eyes, and then you have to drive those pixels with your graphics card that exists today. So because these esport titles are usually played in 1080p or maximum 1440p. With these 144 hertz, and it's just one of them, and the graphics are focused on that, and so on, etc., etc. But what I like about iRacing, though, graphics-wise, is you can set up everything from the how many people you want on the grandstands and how much detail you can perfectly tie to your performance and what you want to see during the race.
Absolutely. So remember, live timing racesport.tv/24 if you want to see, I guess, the timing results of the previous time slot. Then that will be at racesport.tv/timing2 if you want to check over those. Those guys are in their post-race show at the moment, and we have just under 45 minutes left to go here. I'm not seeing any very, very close battles. I mean, this one up on screen for the race lead in LMP1s looks close at 2.7 seconds between Dream Factory and BRL Williams, but there's quite a significant difference in the stint lengths between these two cars. So Dream Factory, they're on, well, they've just completed lap number 1 of their stint, and they're coming up to complete lap number 2 of it. Meanwhile, BRL are on lap 8 of their stint, so there's quite a difference there, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one works out towards the very, very end of this race. And I'm just going to see if BRL come in. No, they're actually going to stay out, so those two LMP1s in your picture right now, that's P1 and P2 on the same lap, but of course a difference on the strategy.
Yeah, I mean, you should be able to do about 11 laps in the LMP1 car, in the Audi and the Porsche respectively. DRS Wave Italy LMP1 with Marco Archidiacono. Man, I'm butchering names today. Oh god, they're gonna hate me for that. Yeah, here the lane time of 39 seconds still going, 13.6 seconds of a stop now, 16.6. So they're gonna take a full service, probably not tires, but I heard of people actually in the HPD stinting the tires for like 5 stints, so everything's possible, to be honest. And the later you stop, the better it is, of course, because your stop time decreases and you spend less time in the pits, and that might be the difference between the win for Dream or BRL here.
Yeah, and so you can see the stop time very short for Dream Factory, though, 16.6 seconds. That's much quicker than anyone else has pulled out, and that must be no tires for them. Although it is pretty close to being a 15-second penalty, isn't it? And remember that those are in effect. You get 100 incident points, and you get your first of your penalties on every 20 instants afterwards, I think it is. You just keep getting penalties piled on top of that, so you do have to be careful, especially inside the final hour of this race. You can't be just ruining your team's race result by going over the instant limit and having to take that penalty.
I mean, I like the fact that they got introduced these penalties per incidents and not just disqualified and stuff, because that adds kind of more realism even. Even though I understand that they had, not for endurance, but for the normal race, this 17x2 disqualification, because sometimes you need to protect also your racer from trolls. But I like the way they did this here.
Dominic Ferrari's in this chat. If that's your real name, then that's the best real name I've ever seen. But it's going to be close for P3 in GTE, and that's what we got up on the screen for you now, the gap. 40 seconds between Racecraft Esports and Rincon V-Racer. And I'm just having a look at the strategy difference. Racecraft Esports is on 5 laps on their stint, but I'm only seeing a stop time of 0.1 of a second. I'm pretty sure that's not right. But Rincon V-Racer in the Porsche there, they are on just a lap on their stint. So Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one because Rincon can get to the end on their fuel. I think Racecraft might be able to, depending here. I'm just going to have to try and work this one out in my head because obviously
they're on 5 laps already. If Racecraft is really on 5-lap stint already, that might be a close one. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm trying to find... Okay, there's someone out there with 10 laps on his stint, so that might actually just about work or not. Let me see what the lap times, 4 minutes. That might not work.
Yeah, you might still have to pit. So this is going to be very, very close then. So Racecraft Esports might just have to take a splash and dash towards the end of this race, which will put them potentially into the clutches of that Rincon car. In that very, very green Porsche. Tobias Martinez. Hey, you can be friends with him. Same name as you, Mr. Brockman.
Yeah, at least the first name, which is actually pronounced Tobias and not Tobias, by the way. I might be a bit biased in that matter. But I like the color they have on there. This very, very bright green. This should help you not to get run over by HPDs or LMP1s.
Yeah, you need every single advantage you can when it comes to that in a GT car. They've got the Biela Racing, one of the Biela Racing Ferraris behind them. That is your race-leading GTE machine, just waiting to put a lap on that Rincon Porsche. So hopefully this won't be too much of a concern for Nicolas Cotes behind the wheel of the Biela Ferrari. But yeah, there are still things to keep an eye on in this particular race. Even though we've had a lot of dropouts, a lot of retirements, there are still battles to be concerned about out on track. And I'm very interested to see how that one for P3 actually turns out. Of course, this LMP1 battle, on track it's 1.8 seconds, but it is quite a bit more in the pit box.
I still wonder if one of those goes for the attack, if Dominik Hoffmann actually tries to do something here, even though they're very much off pace. Sorry, not off pace, off sequence pit stop wise. But I really want to see some attacking going on. I mean, it's a 24-hour race, you know, they probably race alone for a few hours now. So I wouldn't mind seeing some overtaking.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind, even if it doesn't matter much in the grand scheme of things. But still, I mean, BRL are due a pit stop, which will be for sure their final one. There they are. There's Dominik Hoffmann behind the wheel of that number 16 car. And going along well right now. And of course, in this situation, depending if Dream Factory have to take another stop or not, they're 3 laps on their stint right now. He might have a slight chance of grabbing this race win, but it's pretty much out of his hands at this stage because he's going to have to come down in, running a little bit of no man's land. He won't have the luck of having the carrot on the stick in front of him to go and chase once he comes in and does that. It's just P2 basically guaranteed, pending no further issues. Potential P1, depending on which set of circumstances arises in this final portion of the race. So I'd still keep an eye on this one because this could get hairy pretty quickly.
Yeah, don't jinx it, Connery. I think we did that pretty well in the night already, jinxing teams and drivers. Tyler thought it is his fault because Tyler Maxon, he was producing, and he said the moment he started to do the video feed, people started having issues, spin out, the GTE leader crashed and took out an LMP2, and barely made it. And BRL is coming in. I wonder how long this pit stop is going to be because they're not going to change tires. No one does.
Yeah, here we go then. So on to the safety of pit lane for Dominik Hoffmann in for his final stop of the race. These cars can get to the end from here. That's going to be a guarantee. So you can see that Porsche going to be aiming for its pit box in just a couple of moments. And, well, that Dream Factory car that's currently in the race lead, it is in the Audi, so it does actually get a bit of a better fuel mileage out of that car, out of that diesel. So
I mean, yeah, it's a diesel. So...
So yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. So it's going to be Porsche versus Audi as far as the race lead in LMP1s is concerned. That's actually going to be the first time that has happened in iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, because typically, at least for previous events, the Porsche has always been the stronger of the two cars. But it seems like things are at least a little bit more equal here between the two manufacturers, and they can give us a good fight.
Yeah, I think I've seen that the Porsche LMP1 got nerfed a little bit, as we call it in esports terms. They changed the way the MGOH and MGOK work a little bit, so it balances out with the Audi, because the difference was quite massive. No one was driving the Audi. Had like one Audi in the top split last year, which is, well, a little bit sad to see, because it's a great car, and I also love the fact that one has a steering wheel on the right and the other one on the left, even though these cars are actually both from a German manufacturer. But of course, sitting on the side of the apex gives you a little bit better of a help, so that might be the reason why Audi decided to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's Diego Catalan heading his way in towards the Mulsanne corner, slam on the anchors into there. And while this is going on, we can give a little bit of love to LMP2s. They don't really have any very close battles, but they have in, of course, the other broadcaster and the other splits. But right now, HM Engineering leading that one. Jeremy Leimer behind the wheel of that HM Engineering car. And they have, what's the gap? It's going to be a couple of minutes, I think, put it back between the 888 car. There we go, 3 minutes between P1 and P2 in LMP2. It's pretty safe, but the thing is, this is endurance racing, and this is the 24 hours of Le Mans. So if anything can happen, it's going to happen here, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, last time I heard someone say it's pretty safe. It was in real life. They ditched the car on the last lap into the tire wall. So yeah, that's something we should maybe keep for the last few seconds of the race.
Absolutely. So we do have a couple of cars out there that are many laps down. And one of them is the TC Corsa Esports R car, currently 10th place in LMP1s. This is basically going to be our award for basically the Endurance Spirit Award with some of these cars loads of laps down, because they decided, hey, we're not going to retire from this race, even though we're so far behind. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep at it. And TC Corsa Esports R, they are 13 laps down. That's not on the leader. That's to the next car. They have to pass for position. So it's quite far back for them at this stage, but they're still going. And this is the spirit of endurance racing. No matter what happens to your car, if it can still go, you're still in the race.
I mean, I love it. This is an LMP1 car, and they are 325 laps behind the leader. But so are, for example, G-Drive Racing Eximia. That's an LMP2 team that is currently driving again at the moment, 129 laps down to their car in front. So they're both pretty far away from anyone. And G-Drive is 190 laps away from the leader, but still, in my opinion, it's about the spirit of these endurance races. It's about not only joining and competing, but it's bringing it to an end, and all the friends you made along the way, as one says.
There's that G-Drive car that's in 12th place, 129 laps down on their next competitor. So Martin van Loosenhoorn just out there running laps, and it for a lot of these teams, not just in this split, but in splits across all of the time slots, it's just about getting to the checkered flag. Position is secondary for most of these teams.
Yeah, the checkered flag, like it is depicted in the logo for sponsors, of course, Virtual Competition Online Simulation. I mean, VCO is great, actually. I kind of learned who's behind it and talked to them. And they really like the fact that iRacing is going for these and tries to even, of course, they do marketing, but of course they also want to promote e-racing or virtual motorsport even more. And I think they got a good partner with that.
Yeah, I think they do as well. They've done a lot, especially with getting the guys from Radio Show Limited to produce or rather to commentate the first and last 6 hours of the other broadcast, which is completely crazy, because I've always, ever since I've been a fan of motorsport, they've been commentating some of the biggest endurance races in the real world, and to hear them commentating on a sim race, something that we do pretty much every single week, that was a little bit surreal for me, and I'm glad they're enjoying it as well, because they sound like they're enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the 24 hours of the Nürburgring we had here on iRacing as well. I mean, we did the pre-show, we handed off to them. That was like a huge honor, because if I recall correctly, I mean, I started commentating because of them, to be honest. because of all the endurance racing I've seen with their voices in the background. It's like you hear John's voice like everywhere.
Yep, you really do. He has a pretty unique style to his commentary, and I got the pleasure to talk to him before my producing stint of hours 6 to 12. And yeah, he was just an absolutely lovely guy, and he's done a lot for the endurance motorsport community. Feel free to chat to us in the YouTube chat, by the way, because this is an endurance race, so we you know how Radio Le Mans goes to their Twitter to try and get some questions and comments. We usually rely on the YouTube chat for that purpose. Meten in the YouTube chat says, we are in the Schubert X Impulse car, unfortunately fully toasted with 6 hours to go on being on P2 in the HPD class. A lot of stuff happened to the LMP2's front runners, HM Engineering. So yeah, it looks like through the middle of the portion of the race, if what Medding is saying is true there, the LMP2s basically had silly hour for the entire night, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, silly hour is usually when it gets dark, and then another one when it gets the sun comes up again. But yeah, for some teams, the nights are just very, very unforgiving. So much stuff happens, not only in the sim as another cone goes flying, but always on the people's homes. I mean, you know, hardware breaks out of nothing, out of nowhere. Your internet drops out. I don't know, your dog gets sick because he ate something wrong, or you get sick because you ate something wrong. And that can change a lot. And of course, you get in the nights, especially if you're from Europe, yeah, it's night for you as well. So you get tired, you get unconcentrated, and it's a very hard thing to do actually, to race during night, in the night, in a simulation.
So Q3 Zenith Esports coming in for their final stop, basically half a fuel tank going into that Porsche. 24.3 seconds stationary on the lane there. So they're off and away, but they don't really have any active battles around them, because you can see the car behind them is about almost 3 minutes behind them, and race leader is more than a lap ahead of them. So Q3 Zenith Esports, as long as they can just get to the checkered flag cleanly here, that team will be able to finish on the second step of the podium in GTEs, which is a great achievement.
Talking about achievements, Connery, you doing MNS tomorrow?
I haven't been told this.
Well, Jack Hobbs in the YouTube chat just asked about it if you do MNS tomorrow, with a slight laugh behind it.
Look, I haven't done Monday Night Skippies in a very long time.
So I might even have done it the last time from me. Might even have been shorter than for you, so that's interesting. Because I had the pleasure to do it once.
Look, the Monday Night Skippies is an absolutely fantastic series. For those that aren't aware, it's a series that we've been broadcasting for free in support of charity on
300 years or something.
What feels like 5 or 6 years at this point. It's something like that. Will know the actual number. But it always gives some great racing, and gives the spotlight to maybe some drivers that are not able to get into the top splits of these races or into the big leagues. It's absolutely great, and it's just club racing in a nutshell.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's so fun to watch though, and with Tyler doing also some production, it's also great to see. We had a question: what happened to Project Racing Team? Do you know what happened to Project Racing Team? Because I don't.
I do not. Of course, the broadcast I've been watching is the other time slot. So yeah, I'm not seeing actually Project Racing Team in this particular sport.
That might be that he was in the other slot or in another split. But yeah, just as a reminder, we are doing the second slot that opened up after the server issues, and that's the final hour of it. The first slot that started at 1300 GMT, that is already over, and I think they also wrapped up the post-show already. So yeah, that was a nice race actually, and it had less incidents than I initially thought, especially in the beginning 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm just double checking something for my sanity. Yes, you can still access racespot.tv/timing2 if you want to see the results of the other time slot that had just finished the top split. So If you're, I think Project R, I saw Project R in that split, so we'll have to see. You'll be able to see what happened to them in that particular split, but unfortunately, Project Racing Team, I don't think are in this one, unless I'm being completely blind as far as my timing screen is concerned.
Yeah, it's this morning blindness after about 24 hours without sleep, so that's fine.
Yeah, there we go. So right now, with 25 minutes left remaining, we're still waiting for Racecraft Esports in P3 to come down on towards the lane. And I'll tell you why that's significant. Look at the gap between themselves and Rincon. It's about 46 seconds. They'll come down in. They have to take, what, about a third of a tank-ish, maybe, and then get off and away. I don't think that will cover the entire 46 seconds that they have back to Rincon, but it'll bring it much closer. And if Rincon can really turn up the pace here in the latter stages, then they might just have a chance at hauling themselves onto the podium.
Yeah, that might be an interesting thing. Racecraft Esports should be coming in about a lap or two, or maybe even this one. Let's see. Rincon stopped 5 laps ago for a full tank of fuel. That was about 33 seconds. So I guess their standing time will be somewhere between 12 and 20 seconds.
Super Kolos in the YouTube chat. Show the number 4 car, please. And there they are. There's the number 4 car.
Greetings go to the team of Patrick Jacinski, now currently Ronnie Dürig at the wheel. And I wonder, is Andrej Rajkovic actually driving with you guys, or isn't he? I don't know, because they were looking for another driver on the HPD. And I know for a fact that for some reason I think the Huizinveld didn't get a lot of people together on the LMP1, so that dropped out or something. And yeah, Patrick offered a spot on that car here.
Yeah, and I'll be forwarding my PayPal details later on from that request. So Ronnie Dürig, that's a great livery on that car though. That's pretty neat as far as HPDs go. But yeah, we've got 22-ish minutes left in this race now, and I'm starting to feel like I'm going to curse the commentator someone at some point, because it seems relatively calm at this stage, and every time it feels like in the endurance racing leagues that we broadcast here on Race Sport, every time I say that, things just get very hectic very quickly. So
yeah, somebody starts being on fire, or someone's internet drops out, like from the leader team, and they get a tow and everything is gone. I mean, remember Pesk? I mean, everyone was so straightforward with the overtake of Rogers, and then that happened. Like, you know.
Yeah, and I'm just having a look to see where there's the Uber Racing Esports car. I'm looking to see drivers or teams that have looked like they've been through the wars, and that certainly looks like one of them. That's the Uber Racing Esports number 95 car with some pretty significant bodywork damage, so that they're not really going to be all that competitive in a straight line. And that's kind of the name of the game here at the Circuit of the South with the Mulsanne Straight. But like I said, Spirit of Endurance Racing, they are still going, and they're still in P9, about 3 minutes ahead of PSL, which is the car behind them.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, definitely. And I mean, Fabio Besuch, of course, one of the so-called Besuchskomitee, being Michael Besuch and, of course, Fabio Besuch, which is pretty cool, I think, that they always doing everything together. They even have 2 rigs at home, so they race together all the time in teams. Often during the VVLN or I think even the DNLS they started. So it's cool to see Fabio in a team like Uber Racing Esports, where he can really develop even more and better. As we look at SRB Team LMP1 leaving the pit lane.
Yeah, P4 for them. That is their final stop completed for Itor Ferradal there. So he's off and away, not too many problems for them. And they came out about 12, 13 seconds ahead of Fiercely Forward. So I'm just, we're going to have to keep an eye on the pace between those 2 cars to the end of this one, because 20 minutes, 12 seconds, I mean, it's a big ask, but it's not impossible for Fiercely Forward to reel in that gap. It's going to have to be a big chunk every single lap, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance to do it. I mean, the car in front just has to mess stuff up, and then you're directly behind them. It's so easy to do, especially here. Oh, by the way, we have someone for interview here, Connery. It's Andre.
Just give me 1 second. Gianpaolo Cristini says, show the number 1. There is the number 1. That's DRS Wave Italy in P3 with Marco Assidiacono behind the wheel of that number 1 car, and that is the final request that I'll take, because the YouTube chat will get pretty crazy with show X car, show this number, and I can't keep on top of that all. So that's going to be the last one.
I got a request.
Go on.
Can you bring the crazy Austrian in the commentary booth, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So we bring Andrej Jajkovic up into the commentary booth, and Tobias, since this was your idea, you take the interview.
All right. Hey, Andre, it looks like you found your spot, and it looks like you found your spotlight as well. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing great. Patrick was so kind putting me on the team from Ringfiziert with the other guys, and they did an excellent job. They had a good pace and they drive like on rails. Watching Ronnie is always very, very cool, because you don't have to think about anything. He's just perfect on the LMP2. And he will bring it home on P5. And yeah, we're happy with the standings and with how the race went. We had no Code Brown and everything went well.
So that's like the total difference of what most of the LMP2 teams actually experienced tonight, isn't it?
Yeah, we had some LMP2 cars in the walls flying high and so on. And yeah, shame on that. We didn't have the pace for the top 5, we must admit. But at the end, it's an endurance race, about 24 hours, and you have to bring it home.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. It's like this spirit of endurance is not only to start the race, but also to finish. I mean, we have this TC Corsa Esports car, which is not racing anymore because I think it's undrivable. But the G-Drive Racing Eximia is 190 laps behind the leader and 128 laps behind the next GTE car. So that's also some spirit. But Andre, we had some rumors already. Are you changing from Heusingveld to Ringfiziert full time?
No, ever. My Heusingveld is such a cool team, and the guys in there are so great, and the support from Heusingveld is awesome, and I love all those guys. And unfortunately, we had 2 LMP1 cars, but one of our drivers was stuck in the job till the weekend, and he didn't get any training laps. And so we said, okay, that makes no sense. Just drop the car. And so Gunnar is in the same split with Williams on P2 in the LMP1 class, by the way. Oh. And yeah, so Gunnar and me, we are here in the top split of the second time slot and doing both a great job. But Spa, we will be on our Heusingveld team again.
All right. Tell me about, what do you know about the BRL Williams BIM idea? How did you get that name?
Yeah, it was. I searched for an LMP1 slot, and Dominic wrote me, but then Patrick said, hey, come on, drive with our LMP2, and I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then I said, Gunnar, hey, Dominic is searching for a LMP1 driver, and they had no team. It's just a scattered group of lonesome drivers, and then they put it Williams, and it was a laugh.
Yeah, I mean, Connery and I already had a laugh about it. So it's Dominic Hoffmann for them, and Gunnar Miesen, and who else?
I don't know. I just know both of them because I rode with Dominic and I saw Gunnar waving when he passed by, lapping us, but I don't know who's the third or fourth driver. I don't know. Maybe they are on 2 drivers because Gunnar is crazy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I remember Gunnar driving both time slots of the 24-hour race Nürburgring last year, 2018. Yeah, that's Gunnar. He's organizing stuff, he's racing stuff, but most importantly, he is just Gunnar. Yeah, Andre, so do you have anything to add before I let you go and to comfort Ronnie for his driving again?
Yeah, many thanks to Patrick and letting me drive on his team with the other guys. It was so much fun and we did a great job. And yeah, of course, to my team Heusingveld. And I hope the next race I'm on with my team again.
All right, grüß Patrick von mir and have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, Toby.
Bye.
Bye, Connor.
Bye-bye, Andre. Wow, that guy has too much energy for the end of a 24-hour endurance race.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's so hyped that we finally put them on stream. And yeah, I'm gonna call you Connor now, like the dude from that game where you were controlling him, Mr. Connor.
I mean, people call me that for short anyway, even though I don't like it. So that was basically my entirety of my school years. So there we go.
Okay.
But meanwhile, while that was happening, though, Dream Factory did come in for their final stop of the day, and look at the gap. They have come out ahead of BRL, but only by about 15 seconds. 15 seconds, 15 minutes. Again, not impossible, but Dream Factory is still in the best spot right now.
Yeah, Dream Factory is doing the same lap times, almost exactly the same lap times as Williams Spim, where the last time around was a 3:22.075 for Dream Factory, and even faster now, 3:21.933 for BRL Williams Spim, but it's not the second per lap that they would need.
Yeah, it's just about a tenth of a second gained on that last lap, and tenths of a second isn't enough when we have only 14 and a half minutes left in this event, so we'll definitely keep track of how that one's going, but it's going to require a bit of an issue for Dream Factory if they're going to end up dropping this race. So we can return to the battle that we were considering in GTEs, because there's Racecraft Esports, Rincon V-Racer in there as well. 47, well, round that up, 48 seconds between them. Racecraft Esports still have to come in and get their final stop done. And right now, that third of a tank is more looking like less than a quarter of a tank they'll need to take. So this is going to be a pretty quick stop for Racecraft Esports. I expect them to come out ahead.
Yeah, they should be coming out ahead. That's what I was saying. They don't take, like, not even 10 seconds for fuel, I would suppose. I mean, with 30 minutes, of course, you have to account for another additional lap, as we've learned over the weekend. That is quite important to do so. But actually, I think, they should be fine with about 10 to 12 seconds of stopping time.
Mitch Green, what are some teams that are in here that would have been in the other top splits? Very good question. I would have probably expected at least one of the Bila cars to be in the top split with the other one. Of course, we've had a lot of retirements from this race. The Altus Esports cars, I would have thought, would definitely be in that other top split. Same with AAA Esports, Rebellion, Williams Esports as well. So there are a couple of top teams that got shuffled somewhat into this second time slot, but right now there are actually quite few of them on track.
Yeah. By the way, for you statistic nerds out there, we currently did 400, or the leaders at least, did 416 laps on this track during the 23 hours and 48 minutes, which equals about 5,675 kilometers of distance, which is, I think, just brutal. Just think about it. How many times I could go from here to Barcelona and back? That's about 5 times.
Yeah, from where you live. Actually, it'll be a little bit... I can't work out whether it'll be a little bit less or more for me. I think it's less.
You take the plane. I go by car. That's the benefits of living on continental Europe.
Hey, I could take the car as well.
But you need to take a train at some point. You can't drive through.
I mean,
you need to take any other. Yeah, but it's still, you need to leave the car though.
All right then. But with this one though, 12 minutes left. As Racecraft Esports still waiting, they're still due on towards pit lane for their splash and dash of about 10 minutes of fuel going to be going into that Ferrari. So I don't think they'll be under any pressure here. The gap to Rincon is enough that they'll be able to get this one in cleanly and get off and away with a comfortable margin. So I'm not expecting that one to give us a little bit of spice in the final 10 minutes of this race, but like I said before, it's Le Mans, anything can happen, and it usually does as well. And with this amount of time to go, this is where actually the pressure is going to be at its most for those drivers that are in for the final stint, because you don't want to be that guy, couple of laps to go, to find a wall.
Especially when the cameras are on you. I think that's most of the races here, they don't, let's say, they don't care in a negative way about being on camera in these broadcasts. But for some others, it can actually put on some pressure. By the way, Glen Key has still the fastest lap time here with a 3:16.841. But we're way past these lap times at this point of the race. Also, hey to Glen Key, who is currently racing in the Positive Sim Racing P1 car with the number 6. And he's also one of the meme games here.
All right, Elliot says, what happened to Redline? You're in the wrong split, Elliot. as that race has already finished. As you can see the results at racespot.tv/timing2. Team Redline LMP1. Well, if you want spoilers, I'll give you a pause. Team Redline LMP1, they ended up actually winning that race that had just gone on. So that is the time slot that started an hour before this one. Mivano Sim Racing LMP2, they won in LMP2s, and SimRC won in GTEs for the, I guess, the quote-unquote main time slot there. So that's why you're not seeing Team Redline on this on the graphics, because they are not in this race. They're in the one that finished just about 50 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think, that was an interesting race. I mean, especially interesting because RSL was commentating on it, which I hope they will do in the future, even though when, of course, the real racing will pick up again if the authorities allow them to happen. I mean, look at the calendar, which has been posted by some people with IndyCar, Formula 1, Formula E, etc., going onto the real tracks again. It's like you can watch like racing every day, and that didn't even include the NASCAR schedule.
Yeah, of course. We can't forget about our oval friends. There's the Powerslide Motorsports car. We did see some fan of theirs, or team driver, or whoever, mention them in the chat before. The 048, Adam Blocker, behind the wheel. Again, in a little bit of no man's land. He's 6 laps behind the Positive Sim Racing car, which is the next car for position. And the car behind, the Alpine Eagle car, is about 1 minute and 23 seconds behind him. So a lot of drivers and a lot of teams will actually be finding themselves in the exact same situation here, that you know, they don't have any on-track battles coming to the checkered flag. So they're just logging laps until the end, doing a little bit of a time trial, maybe even like just backing off a little bit to make sure that they can get to the checkered flag.
Talking about making sure, someone in here in a commentary booth is trying to making sure that we mention something, Connery, while poking at us all the time.
Yeah, Arjuna, well, if he can even activate his microphone, we can maybe even get an interview with him. But
if he wants to. Oh, there he is.
There we go, Arjuna. So Arjuna is also a commentator and producer here at Racespot TV. He's also part of that Powerslide Motorsports car that Adam Blocker is currently piloting. Very quickly, because we only got a couple of minutes left of this race, how's your race going, Arjuna, considering you've had to commentate, produce, and race in this?
Actually, like you said, I've been producing and commentating on quite a large chunk of the first 18 hours of the race, so wasn't behind the wheel, but I woke up just for the last 30 minutes of this one, watched my teammates support them till the end. P7, they've had a few issues, but, you know, in the true spirit of endurance racing, they've persevered, and 24 hours later, here they are. And P7, it's always a good finish to come to the end here at Le Mans.
I mean, did you sleep in your car, though, to bring the spirit to life?
No. That's the true Will-Vincent spirit. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I would do it, but at the moment I don't have one, but I can't take the one from the neighbors.
Yeah, but Arjuna, you know, how's your team's luck gone? Because you said P7 is still a decent finish for you guys here in this, but did you have any troubles during the night? Do you have any messages from your teammates after you slept saying, oh, we've banged up the car a little bit, or has everything been fine?
There's been a few issues here and there. Obviously, when you're 8 laps down from the race leader, there's always something that's happened, but fortunately, it's been mostly self-inflicted. And, you know, I say that, Connor, because, you know, Adam's at the wheel now, and, you know, everyone at Powerslide is not a huge fan of taking other people out. So, fortunately, most of our issues have just been self-inflicted during the night, but you can see the car's still fairly clean right now. So, I think that's one of the good things about these LMP1 and 2 machines is you can get some of that damage repaired, and that's why we see a lot of cars still out there on track.
There's the Racecraft Esports car coming in on the live pictures because, well, we were expecting them to come in and do this splash and dash. How long is it going to be stationary on the pit lane, though? We can pull that up for you. They're already up to 6 seconds worth of fuel going into that car. It's exactly 10 seconds worth of fuel for the Racecraft Esports car. You couldn't have planned it, could you? As Racecraft Esports off and away, and they're going to be very comfortably ahead of the Rincon V-Racer car, as that gap is showing at 43 seconds. Now, I'm expecting that to drop. There we go. 18.8 seconds between the 77 and the 911 Porsche. And, well, it's... I was going to say, it's not actually a 911 Porsche, isn't it? It's the
I mean, yeah, but technically, you know, Porsche and the number scheming.
911 Porsche.
Yeah, it's always either the 91, 912, 911, 91, 92. You know, it's that kind of stuff. So yeah, Arjuna is done. He said he didn't actually want to talk, but well, there he goes. He talked at least. So yeah, he's just here to close the doors behind us, I think.
Yeah, he's a commentator and doesn't want to talk, so... No.
Yeah, that's
we'll work that one out.
Maybe you should get a new resume.
Yeah, but we're under 5 minutes to go then on this one, as there is Dream Factory. They are your overall race leaders. Diego Catalan behind the wheel of that Audi. He just has a couple of laps to go now, as this will be the second to last lap. This is the start of the second to last lap. You can see he's heading his way through the first sector. Couple of corners before the corner of Tetra Rouge, and then the start of the Mulsanne Straight. So that number 27 car still looking very, very comfortable. I'm seeing no issues, no instances of having to push too hard. They don't have to. They've got a 15, well, now 14 and a half second gap back to BRL Williams. So they can even decide to back off just a little bit here and get that car safely to the end of this race. So even though they're not looking for the win in the big broadcasted split that we had finish just about 55 minutes ago, any win in the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans is one to be very, very proud of. Because I know some people say that if it's not the top split of the broadcasted event, then it doesn't mean anything. That is simply not true. We have, what was it, about 40, 50 splits of the 24 Hours
total,
of Le Mans?
Yeah. 2,000 and more than 2,500 teams, definitely.
So that's 150 class winners. Every single one of them, that team should be proud of it. That's at least my opinion there. It might be harder for the top split guys to get themselves the race win, considering the competition that they're gonna that they have to go up against. But with the way iRacing splits things, everyone gets put into a relatively similar skill bracket for each split. So it's relatively. It's just as hard for a middling team in the middle split to win in their class as it is in the top split team to win in the top split of their class. So it's all worthwhile as far as I'm concerned. And Dream Factory, they're gonna count this as a win, no matter what, even if it is in the quote unquote less superior time slot.
Yeah, less superior. You know, there's no less superior time slot, in my opinion. You know, it always depends on your perspective. I mean, of course, usually we do the European time slot and all this stuff. But to be honest, to be fair, having multiple time slots, giving more people the opportunity to actually race in those that have a life next to sim racing, which I don't, then that's an opportunity to take, and that's great to have, definitely. And also, it's not an invitation-only event. Everyone can take part in it that owns the track and the car.
Yep, so Dream Factory then, they're going to be coming onto their final lap soon. They're heading in through the Porsche curves at the moment. 14 seconds is the advantage. So I get the feeling Dream Factory have backed off a little bit here. Of course, that might be influenced due to some of the traffic that has come through on this lap as well. But should still be clear here for Diego Catalan. He's going to be coming up to the Ford chicanes for the second to last time. And we will be getting the white flag for these guys coming across the start-finish line. So Dream Factory, one more lap to go for the overall race leader.
And that is the last one out of 400 and even more. Let me see. 419 laps have been driven so far. We're now in the 420th, which some people will think is funny that we actually did 420 laps. But yeah, there we go.
There we go. Less said about that one, the better. As Diego Catalan continuing on his way. He doesn't need to rush things here. We have HM Engineering. They're going to come across the line to start their final lap as well. So Jeremy Lima in that 729 HPD. He has a very healthy gap over the 888 car. That's 3 minutes behind him, so no pressure on HM Engineering either. Where is Bila Racing Team? They're coming through the Ford chicanes right now, so they're going to be starting their final lap here in this one. Julian Grunestel behind the wheel of the 542 Ferrari. So they're actually going to come across the line in class order, which is convenient for me, because I have to keep track and get these guys across the line. But there we go. There's Diego Catalan, Dream Factory dealing with one of the Porsches there, absolutely fine. Gets the boost off the corner, and it's a very every single podium finisher, and in fact every single finisher in this race has done a good job. No matter what set of circumstances have been thrown their way, if they've gone involved in incidents, if they've had technical problems or whatever, getting to the end of one of these races is a big achievement, and they should be happy regardless.
Yeah, they should be totally happy. Every one of them, as we have it official now, it's showing final lap, and this will happen as we go. And to be honest, I really got to tell you, I can't wait for the next Le Mans 24. One good thing for you, though, is it doesn't take 10 minutes for the last person on the podium to arrive as it does on the Nürburgring.
Yeah, I mean, I've broadcasted Nürburgring 24-hour races, and I do the directing for the DNLS, of course, so I know how that is sometimes. It's only, well, at least a 3-minute, 20-second lap time for these LMP1s, but Dream Factory, they got a little bit of traffic ahead of them. Gotta be calm with this. You can even just slow up just a little bit more and bring that car home. You don't want to be having an incident at these late stages. I hope I'm not jinxing them at this point. In fact, they've got a fellow LMP1 car behind them. It's just they're just sitting there waiting, and Dream Factory will be able to deal with this traffic. And there we go, around the driver's right-hand side of the HPD there, and into the Porsche curves for the final time. What an event that we've had here in the 24 hours of Le Mans. Of course, we've been broadcasting the final hour of the 1400 GMT time slot here. The 1300 GMT time slot had already ended with Team Redline coming out on top in that one. But in this one, in this split, it will be Dream Factory's win. Who said dreams don't come true for Diego Catalan in that number 27 car? Onto the brakes, into the Ford chicanes for the final time. And in the Audi, Dream Factory will come out of the final corner to win their 24 hours of Le Mans. Brilliant stuff for Diego Catalan and co. We cycled things back because there is HM Engineering. They are coming through the Porsche curves for the final time as well. Jeremy Lima in the second fastest class here today. HM Engineering will add this one to their already quite a few accolades, Tobias.
Yeah, they did very well to keep it 24 hours up here. We go one more time to the left, one more time to the right, one more time you hit the throttle, and then, of course, Jeremy Lamier brings his HM Engineering car to the finish line and wins this slot of the 24 hours of Le Mans here on iRacing in the LMP2. But of course, we still have the Biela Racing Team Euronics 2 car, where Julian Grunastel will bring it now through the Porsche curves and then in the end over the line.
Yep, he will. There he goes. So the 452 Ferrari, a lap ahead of everyone else in their class in this event. It's been a great performance for the guys at Biela Racing Team Euronics in their second team car in the 452 Ferrari through the chicanes for the final time, and they will come across the line to win in GTEs in this 24 hours of Le Mans on iRacing, and they take the checkered flag. Everyone else drips and drabs coming across the line, and a lot of those teams will be happy with their finishing position. A lot of those teams will happy that they've just gotten to the end.
But most of the teams that made it to the end will be happy that they started it, that they just did it. And if they weren't all at home, they would probably lay in their arms each other, you know, how it is after these endurance races. You think 24 hours, it's not that long of a period, but for a lot of teams, it can feel like days.
There's Dream Factory on their parade lap. Race winners in LMP1s. They take the tire barrier chicane in the runoff area of one of the down the Mulsanne, and they're just reveling in the moment because they've won this split of the 24 hours of Le Mans. Diego Catalan and the rest of his team very happy indeed, and you know, it takes a massive amount of effort to even get anywhere near the podium in these sorts of races, let alone take the race win in the overall category. And Diego Catalan, This is. I wonder how big his grin is behind the wheel at the moment.
I can imagine pretty large. I mean, from one ear to the other one. That's what I think.
Yeah, it will be. So we'll watch these guys run through on their little parade lap here. And actually, we can actually go through and take you through the official race results once everyone comes across the line. Not everyone has done just yet. So we'll get to that once that becomes available to us. As Dream Factory, they don't want to wait until the start-finish line to do their donuts, it seems like. They did it with a slide a bit through Indianapolis. In fact, that was a bit of a mistake on the parade lap there. Good job they didn't do that one lap early, right?
I mean, yeah, but I remember an incident with Vettel on the parade lap where he lost his engine, so and his rear tire, so it happens.
Yeah, it does happen sometimes. There's HM Engineering as well, similarly happy with their performance. Jeremy Lima behind the wheel of the 729 car. And then, of course, we have the Bieler Racing Team Euronics. They are parked inside the first sector there and just celebrating their win, no doubt, in their TeamSpeak and their Discord, whatever they use to communicate. But Dream Factory through the Porsche curves now. This is... and congratulations as well to all of the winners and all of the finishers in all of the other splits as well, because we've not just had that main broadcasted 24 Hours of Le Mans, we've not just had this 24 Hours of Le Mans, we've had around about 50 24 Hours of Le Mans go on at the same time here on iRacing, and well done to all of these competitors.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more races, seeing more people get engaged with endurance racing, because I think this is the purest form of, let it be virtual or real, motorsport, because everyone has to work together even more as in sprint races.
There we go. Come on, Diego, give us some donuts. It's seeming like he's refusing to do so at the moment. But with that, then, we'll go through your official race results for the 1400 GMT time slot of the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans powered by VCO. The results look a little bit like this. There is your LMP1 finishers. It will be Dream Factory taking the overall race win by 12 seconds over BRL Williams BIM in second place. DRS Wave Italy come home in P3. And SRB Team LMP1 in P4. Fiercely Forward will finish in P5 with Positive Sim Racing P1 in P6. Powerslide Motorsports will come home in P7 here today. And then TC Corsa Esports W, Alpine Eagle Racing, and TC Corsa Esports R will bring things down to your top 10 in class. And then those cars that had retired, with the exception of Fixed Green, they actually did come across the line to finish. We have Element Sim Racing, Phoenix Racing Esports Orange, TC Corsa Esports, Lone Wolf Motorsports, SHZ Kaboom, one-man squad in 17th place, and DRS Wave Italy LMP1 2 coming home in the 18th spot. So there's a little bit of donuts going on there from that DRS Wave Italy car at the bottom of our pictures. But we have a look at your LMP2 class finishing results. HM Engineering take the race win by 3 minutes in that class with GazX Racing in P2. STV Esports come home in P3. TNT Racing in 4th place. And Ring Fitzit Sim Racing HBD Team Blue comes home in P5. P6, Four Brothers Endurance with P7 going to Leo Racing Team HBD 78. Hutu Alfala Racing in P9. Blackadder Motorsports finish in Hutu Alfala Racing P8, excuse me. Blackadder Motorsports in P9. P10 will go to Radicals Online Track Racer. And then you got the cars further down the order in LMP2's Power Extreme Racing. They did get to the line, I think, with 22 laps down. Impulse X Schubert in P12. We got G-Drive Racing Eczema. Talk Freak Racing TeamSpeak. S2V Esports Academy, Ronin Sim Sports, V-Rig KC Racing, S2V Esports, and Core Sim Racing LMP2, rounding out the order in LMP2s. And then in GTEs, Bieler Racing Team Euronics, the class of the fields, they win by over a lap back to Q3 Zenith Esports. Racecraft Esports get themselves onto a podium after a late race splash and dash. They came out well ahead of Rincon V Racer in P4. Zenith will finish in P5. Bila Racing Team Aeronix 3. Well, they'll get themselves 6th place in the finishing order. GTN Racing in 7th. Yunkos Racing Official White in P8. Uber Racing Esports Yellow P9. And PSL Not Karting in P10. And then your final runners in GTEs. AAA Esports, Sexense, Fitstyle Motorsports, Maya, MP12, Astro Gaming Altus Esports, MP13, Logitech G Altus Esports, P14, Lulum Cheerleaders in P15, Simcore in P16, Soon in 17th place, and Rebellion Williams Esports down in 18th place here in this particular split. But there we go. That's going to be us done, I think, for this particular time slot of the iRacing 24 Hours of Le Mans, the 1400 GMT time slot. And that's going to be all of the iRacing 24-hour races that are going on right now, drawing to a close. It's been a fantastic weekend here for us at RaceSpot TV. Thank you very much to VCO for powering our production here on the RaceSpot TV side of things. Yes, I've just noticed that. Someone deciding to reverse their way down the Mulsanne, but we got to have a little bit of fun here, drawing the broadcast to a close. Thank you guys very much for watching this final hour coverage of the 1400 GMT time slot. We'll see you guys whenever we get to see you. Goodbye.